Behind that yawn, there are two types of yawn. I'd like to call it the spontaneous yawn and the contagious yawn. According to statistics from the University of Cambridge, we yawn at an average of 4 times a day. Just like blinking, coughing, and other sorts of reflex action. Yawning has a survival value. There is a purpose to yawning. But how many of you have wondered why we yawn? So today, I will be sharing with you the reasons why we yawn and why yawning can be contagious. Let's start off with spontaneous yawning. Like what we most believe, which is not true, yawning replenish and fill our brain with oxygen. That is actually not true. To prove this, according to Robert Provine, a researcher from University of Maryland, he is a psychologist who is so curious with human behavior that he wrote a book called Curious Behavior. And he said in the book that if yawning is because we lack oxygen, then we should expect to see more or less frequency of yawn, depending on the concentration of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air. But yet, when Provine asked volunteers to breathe in different mixtures of air, there are no such change to be found. And I think that makes sense, because after I do an intense workout, or after I come up from a high altitude place, I do not see myself yawn extra more. So the true purpose, the main purpose to yawning is actually to cool or to regulate the temperature of our brain. Yes, it is to regulate the temperature of our brain. According to a recent study led by George Mason, he comes from the Cognitive Biology Department from the University of Vienna, Austria, and also led by Andy Gallen. He's from the Psychology Department of the State University of New York. They found out that actually yawning is a thermoregulatory function to the brain. So just like the car engine, when we actually stress ourselves out, or when we think too much, we work too hard, it heats up. And when it heats up, we yawn. And when we yawn, we inhale fresh air. Not for the oxygen, but for the cooler outside of the body air, so that our brain can cool itself off to achieve optimal temperature for it to work effectively. So next time, if you see a lecturer catching you yawn in class, one of the reasons that you could tell him is that my brain is just cooling off. Because I go through so much stress in paying attention to what you say in class. So that is actually a legit reason. So with that said, brain cools off through yawning. How does that bring us to contagious yawning? Why is it that when someone next to us yawns, it is likely as well for us to yawn? There are actually many factors to it, such as the minor factors are like stress and age. But according to one of the research, and he is from Italy, he's a psychologist with the name Ramira Mascheroni. It sounds like food. But he's based in University of London. And he found out that contagious yawning is because of the human nature's empathy. Empathy. Yawning turns out to be a social bond. researchers from universities of Italy found out that yawning becomes more contagious among friends and families because the social bond between friends and families are much more stronger. Matthew Campbell, a researcher from the Emory University, one of the leading research centers in one of the leading research universities in USA, said that it is natural for humans to be empathetic. Psychologically, we yawn when we see others yawn because we try to put ourselves into their shoes. We mimic them to show that we actually care about them. We actually care about them. So this is one reason, this is how human beings show empathy. So for example, when you see someone smile or frown, when we are communicating with them, we have the tendency to follow their smiles and frown. Because this is how we express our happiness and our sorrow together with them. So next time if you go to a private function and you see that after you yawn and you see that someone yawns with you, if he's a guy, he could be a bro to you because you have a strong social bond. But if that person is a lady, you know that you can make your move. So ladies and gentlemen, as ugly and as unpurposeful that we think yawning is, there is a beauty behind it. It benefits us by cooling the brain so that our brain could work effectively and efficiently. And the annoying, contagious yawn that we usually get, it turns out to be a form of social bond. So who would have thought that behind that yawn, there is such a wonderful purpose to it? Thank you very much. Back to you.